what has occurred is the observer has manifested the way in which that subatomical particle is behaving. So, when we extrapolate to the macro, yet, however, from the consideration of these subatomic particles, then your reality is assembling itself in a particular shape, in a particular permutation, on the basis of who you are being. So, if you can change who you are being, then it stands that you can change your manifested reality. How does one change who they are being? Well, hi and welcome to today's channeling. If I look a bit thinner, it's because I am. I lost, I don't know, like 5 to 7 pounds. What's it, like 2 to 3 kilos when I had food poisoning last weekend. It was horrendous. But the good news is I got abs. I got abs because I just lost so much fat. Please go ahead and like, comment, share this video because it's so important for these channelings to get out to a larger audience, grow our community, and for me to be able to continue to support myself. And speaking of supporting myself, I finally put together some methodologies that you can use to either donate to me as a one-time off or as a regular subscriber. So I've already had someone subscribe, which is fantastic. That was such a wonderful surprise. If that's you, thank you very much. So I'm using Subscribe Star, which is exactly the same as Patreon, but Patreon tends to deplatform truth tellers and so on. So just as a sort of ethical problem I have with the way they operate, I've chosen Subscribe Star, and I'm also going to put a link for PayPal as well if you feel that you would like to help me on this journey so I can continue offering these for free and with love week after week. If you haven't read this book yet, it's time that you do. The 3 Awakenings That Save Humanity. I'm getting great reviews. People are really loving this book, saying that it has changed the way they live their lives, it has shortened their spiritual journey, and so on. I'm getting really great reviews about this book. It's available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook, and the link for that is below. If you would like a private channeling session, that is something which is also possible. You'll see below there is a link for that also. And all you need to do is fill out the form, and that starts a conversation, no obligation, and then we go from there. And on to today's topic. How can you use the quantum field to manifest the reality you want? I was rummaging through some belongings that I brought with me from Australia, and in there I had some photos which were really just images I created on my computer, which are me superimposed in different situations, which then I had on my wall, and I use them as a manifestation tool. And I was going through them, and about 4 of them have already occurred, which is really great. One of them was me living on the beach in a place where there's no waves, it's nice and flat, and I had a desk kind of right where I can see it. And I'll just, how can I do this? I'll turn this around. Can you see that? That's it. That's really the image that I had on my wall when I was still in Australia. So this stuff works. I mean, I'm not very good at manifesting, really. I tend to live a very austere lifestyle, usually, but I'm getting more intrigued with it, and I want to start putting more of my time and energy into manifesting deliberately. So that's why I'm asking this question today. How can you use the quantum field to manifest the reality that you want? All right, so let's see what's there. Greetings and thank you for the question. How can you use the quantum field to manifest what you want? This is a pertinent question at this time because humanity on a global basis is heading into some challenging times, because the energy and the food and the monetary systems of your planet are being deliberately throttled, so that there is going to be a manufactured scarcity of all three. And these are the three of the most fundamental and essential resources one to have access to live in a degree of comfort, which allows for expansion in other ways. These fundamentals must be just taken care of by default. And of course, those that are engineering this, which are the beings on your planet, the Earth humans that have made the philosophical choice to follow the pathway of darkness. And it is their desire at this time to disrupt the human field as much as they possibly can, so that they can bring about a shift into a new system or a new series of systems which are a great step forward in the manifestation of their own dystopian vision for humanity. And as this unfolds, you are going to be met with challenges in these three fields. Challenges in having sufficient energy, food, and finances. However, this can be alleviated to a great degree in your own personal experience if you are able to use the quantum field intelligently, so that you can manifest a personal bubble of reality which is to some degree inoculated from this greater co-manifested experience, which at its basis is being manufactured and engineered by this cabal of darkness. So, let us begin by saying that the question itself is flawed in its syntax, because when there is want within this quantum intent, then this will manifest the conditions of want. So, revisiting the question, how can you use the quantum field to manifest what you want? Of course, we understand what is the implication of this question. However, when the intent is imbued with want, then the manifested experience will be more of that, will be more of want. So, want is a state of not having. It is a state of wishing to acquire something which is not yet in your experience, not yet in your possession. And so using the quantum field to manifest want, your wants, will in fact just manifest more of this condition of not having, this condition of desiring something which is not yet in your possession. So, we understand this is a pedantic beginning. However, it is important to understand these fundamentals. So, it would be more useful to pose the question in this way. How can you use the quantum field to possess that which you desire? And you can see this is a very different state, because in this state, the intent already includes possession. There is, by implication, the presence of what you desire already. It is not something which needs to be transitioned to, but instead is an instantaneous state. You already are in possession of that which you desire. And this can be extrapolated to prove or theorize that this is actually the case. Because you are your experience. Your experience is a reflection of you. You could say it is a physical metaphor of your beingness. That is the purpose of physical reality, to give you feedback data on who you are being. And thereby, through this mechanism of giving you feedback data on who you are being, then you can calibrate who you are being. And through this calibration, you can dig deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the discovery of what you are, so that you can know yourself through the vehicle of experience, know yourself experientially. And this is the divine purpose. This is the reason that the One created the All. The One existed conceptually prior to its creation of the All. It knew itself to completion conceptually, but it did not know itself at all experientially. And desiring to have purpose, it gave birth to existence, such that its purpose could be to go from zero experience of itself to complete experience of itself. This process of growth, so that it could know itself to completion experientially, and thereby divine purpose fulfilled. You are one of these individuations. You are the One. The One is experiencing itself through the proxy, which is you. So, divine purpose, the purpose of the One, is your purpose also, because you are the One. Therefore, the way to most skillfully and wisely use this opportunity is to discover who you are through the vehicle of experience. And this means you take note of the feedback data that you are receiving. You be aware and cognizant of the shape that your life takes on, because it is a reflection of you. And as your purpose is to discover yourself, to know yourself through experience, then you would be wise to do what you can to create a life which reflects back to you that truth, the truth of what you are. So what are you? You are the One, meaning that you are love and its derivatives. And one of these derivatives is abundance. You are abundance. So, your natural state is abundant. There is no other way to be. But there are different forms of abundance. So if you find that your life is very lacking in material wealth, you are cash strapped, you don't have money, then this is still an abundance. It's an abundance of the absence of wealth. If you wish to live a life which is much more conducive to what you actually are, the abundance of the One, which is imbued with love, light, joy, happiness, and so on, then the abundance which is most conducive to that is the abundance not of the absence of wealth, but the presence of wealth. Therefore, to fulfill the divine purpose in a more comprehensive and meaningful way, which is in greater alignment with what you actually are, then manifesting a reality, life reflecting back to you an abundance of many wonderful things, including material wealth, is most accurate. So, how does one use the quantum field to bring this about? All possible versions of your life already pre-exist. You are not a creator, but rather a manifester, meaning that you are a being of perception, not a being of creation. You will experience a version of reality which is most perfectly resonant with your state of being, and or in every moment that you encounter. There is an infinite number of possibilities, an infinite number of permutations for which that moment can occur, for how you can experience that moment. Yet the one that you do experience from the infinite which are available will be that which is most perfectly resonant with your state of being. So, when we bring this down to the quantum level, to the very, very small, there is a phenomenon which exists where each particle is existing in all places at the same time. So, let us give some clarity to this. When a subatomic particle is viewed using an objective device, an objective device makes a recording of a particle, and it can be observed that a single particle is in multiple places at the same time, because this is the nature of the quantum field. It is infinite potential. These infinite permutations of how you can experience the moment. And yet, when this quantum particle is observed by a human observer, it will be found in only one location. So the potential locations at which it was observed when the objective device took a recording have now coalesced into one single point. And that one single point will be in the place which is most resonant with the observer. And so what has occurred is the observer has manifested the way in which that subatomical particle is behaving. So, when we extrapolate to the macro, yet however, from the consideration of these subatomic particles, then your reality is assembling itself in a particular shape, in a particular permutation, on the basis of who you are being. So, if you can change who you are being, then it stands that you can change your manifested reality. So, how does one change who they are being? Well, what determines who you are being? Who you are being is most fundamentally determined by your beliefs. What you believe is possible. So, if you believe it is possible for you to be very wealthy, then very naturally, what will arise from this belief is a process of thoughts and actions and focus which will bring about a manifested reality which is very conducive to this belief. So, if you can change your beliefs, then you can change your manifested reality. However, working on one's beliefs, changing one's beliefs, isn't a matter of just deciding to believe differently. Because of course, these beliefs have arisen from something. You were not necessarily born with the beliefs that you possess now. Instead, these beliefs formulated or became what they are through the process of you living your life. And so, what was it that gave rise to your beliefs? And of course, the answer is, it was your experiences. It was your experiences that changed who you are, that shaped your beliefs. And then from these beliefs has arisen the reality you experience, because your beliefs are the energetic formula, the recipe, which creates the mix of your beingness. And then you broadcast into the potential of experience a very particular energetic signature. And that very particular energetic signature is then manifesting the experience of your life. It is bringing to you, into your perception, those experiences which are most perfectly resonant with your energetic signature, with the energetic quality which has arisen from your beliefs, which have been formed from your experiences. But now one may think, well, this is a dead end because my experiences are my experiences. Perhaps I can change my beliefs, but how can I change my experiences? Because I already had them. They are what they are. However, your experiences, the memories you have of your life, are much more malleable than perhaps you think they are. It is very much the human way in the earth experience to be very rigid in this concept of what experiences that you've had in the past, and that it is very finite by definition. For this particular event in my life, this is what happened. The end. It cannot be any other way because it's already occurred. It's already happened. It's the reality. It is my life history. And to think of it in any other way would just be a lie, would just be a denial of the truth, of the reality, of the experiences that I had. Yet, this is not the case. And let us illustrate how. When you come into a moment, you are presented with an infinite number of choices. You can choose to go there, 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 you can choose to stay where you are. There is an infinite number of choices. And yet, in this very complex way that the universe is continuously creating experience of itself, the way that the One is able to grow most rapidly in the experience of itself, is that when you choose a particular pathway through the moment, all of the alternate pathways which were not chosen still exist, still are a way that the One is experiencing itself. So it could be said, when you choose to go this way, there is a version of you that chose to go that way, and that is now having an experience in that other subset of permutations which you yourself did not take. And so, moving forward in your life, there are always versions of you splitting off in every moment to follow the path of permutation which you did not choose. So, from a historical perspective, this is what has been happening from the moment of your birthing into reality in this current incarnation. There is an infinite number of options, of choices made in the past which were made by versions of you that chose differently in that moment of decision. So, when you look at your memories from which arise your beliefs and perceive them as rigid and finite and unchangeable, we are saying that you are looking at a very narrow slither of the many experiences that you did have from a certain perspective. Because these versions of you chose differently in those moments. Because it all pre-exists. Just as the game is coded with all of the possible moves and maneuvers and choices that can be made. And so as you make your way through the video game and you choose a particular path, particular series of movements, that perhaps in the many billions of times that this game has been played has never been done in the way that you did it. Even so, you were able to do it because it pre-existed in the coding, the potential for what you did. And in a very similar way, the potential for all of these permutations already pre-exists in the coding of the matrix, of the all, of the universe. So, this means that if you wish to change your beliefs so that they are more conducive for manifesting a reality which is more aligned with your desires, which are more likely to arise the state of being in possession of your desires, then you can choose an experience which would give rise to the beliefs which would give rise to that version of reality, that version of your living experience. So, this is when we start getting to the quantum level. For example, perhaps when you were a child, you were raised in a household where money was very scarce. And when you heard your parents speak of money, it was usually in terms of scarcity. Saying things such as, "We can't afford that. We don't have enough money for that. We can't give you the money that you're requesting because we just don't have it. There are things which are a higher priority." And so on. And from these experiences, you formulated the belief system which gives rise to your reality, such that now, as an adult, your own experience is very, very similar to the experience that your parents had, because your beliefs have been formulated through the experiences which were the voyeuristic or the proxy experiences of your parents. Not having enough. In life, you have enough for the essentials, but you don't have enough for the things that rich people do. You don't have enough for the fancy house, for the elaborate holiday, for the amazing car. That's for rich people. We're not rich people. And therefore, this energetic signature, which you will emanate as a result of those beliefs, will bring about a manifested reality which is most perfectly resonant with that energetic signature. So, stepping it back to the beliefs, which are formulated to the experiences, instead this time, let's choose a memory from the infinite realm of permutations that were available, because they all pre-exist. So, there is a version of reality in which your parents were incredibly wealthy, and they were so abundant that they were very generous in the way that they funded any request that you had. If you were to say, "Mum, Dad, I want some money for this," they would say, "Absolutely. Sure, darling. We have so much money. It is not a problem for us. Whatever you want. If you would like that and more, don't hesitate to ask." Because that is our state. We are so rich. We are so abundant. And of course, that experience is going to give rise to a very different belief system. If that was your childhood experience, then your beliefs would be, money is abundant. There's always plenty of money. You don't have to worry about money. Buying elaborate, extravagant things is not a big deal. Because even when I do, I still have so much money left over, it doesn't even make a dent. I can't even see where it came from. Of course, for many on your planet, this is precisely their experience. And it can be yours as well. So, from the infinite number of permutations which are pre-existing in your past, and even to give greater tangibility to this idea of being in your past, understand that there is only one moment with an infinite number of perspectives. There is the now, and that's it. There is only the now, has only ever been the now, and will only ever be the now. Only thing that changes is a perspective of this single moment. And so this is the same as saying that all of time exists now, in this single moment. And then when we tie this into this concept that all permutations exist simultaneously, this is to say that this moment of you being raised in a household that was incredibly abundant is existing now. It is actually a reality now. And so you can tap into that in a very direct way. You're not tapping into a memory that happened way in the past. You are tapping into something which exists right now. This is how malleable your reality is. And when you start using it in this way, this is when you are beginning to appreciate it and utilize it at the quantum level. Because you are beginning to literally shift the individual particles of your reality to bring about a lived experience which is purposefully designed and has, in a sense, been assembled through the understanding and the force and the power which is contained within this very deliberate methodology. So we are explaining to you something which for us is a very natural way of being. And when we had agreed that this was going to be the topic of discussion, we literally had to take a step back and give a moment's analysis to how it is that we live our lives. Because for us it is like the water to the fish. There is no mental process to this for us. It is not something that we must force, because as a species which has transitioned to higher levels of density than you currently find yourself as an Earth human, it is just a very natural default state of beingness. And we do not give this any thought whatsoever. It just occurs. We just manifest our desired reality moment to moment in a very effective and congruent way. When things go sideways for us, as you could say, even then, we just observe it and appreciate it as perfection. That it has occurred this way because this version of the experience is more perfectly aligned with our desires than what we had assumed was. However, we understand that on your planet, it is still not that simple. And so it is not something which can be done passively. By some, yes. There are some within your human field who have what could be said is the Midas touch. And everything they do, everything they touch, just very easily, very simply turns into abundance for them. But for the overwhelming majority, this is not the case. And so if you wish to live a manifested experience which is conducive to being in possession of your desires, then it requires discipline. It requires concerted and continuous perseverance to have a predominance of mindset which is utilizing the quantum field in this way. And this is really what we are giving you now. We're giving you some type of roadmap, some type of step-by-step formula for doing this. So, returning again to this idea of these past memories, which are not memories but occurring right now, in alternative versions of the reality to which you experience, but are nonetheless integrated into you, because it is part of this diffracted version of you, diffracted through the many infinite number of permutations in every moment. So, literally just use your imagination, because whatever you can imagine exists in some form within the context of the matrix. As you are a being of perception, manifestation, not creation, this means that it is impossible for you to imagine something which does not already exist in some definition. Because if you were to imagine something that does not exist, then this is the same as saying that you are creating existence from non-existence, which is for you an impossibility. Because non-existence is by definition non-existing. Nothing can be derived from it. So you cannot bring something into existence from non-existence, which is the same as saying you cannot imagine something which does not already exist in some way. There is only one being which you could say is able to create into existence from non-existence, and that is the One. But even for the One, this is an illusory context. It has not actually created into existence something from non-existence, but has created the illusion that this is what has occurred. But when the illusion, which is the universe of your experience, is examined closely, then eventually the conclusion is drawn that what you are observing is in fact illusory, is not real at all. And this includes even you. You are not really an individual being. You are instead an illusory being which has been created into a form of reality by the One so that it can fulfill its divine purpose. So, to change the shape of your reality, remembering that your reality is a metaphor of your state of beingness. It is literally feedback data on your state of beingness. And your state of beingness is arising from your beliefs, which is arising from your experiences. So, if you have a particular belief which you wish you did not, that you want to release from the paradigm of your self-definition, and perhaps you could say that one of those is that I'm poor, I don't have much money, then the way that this can be done using this new knowledge and controlling the quantum level is by deciding what memories gave rise to these beliefs. And perhaps, as we used the example before, these memories are the many times that your parents reinforced this concept that money is scarce, money is hard to get hold of, that we, including you, are poor, are broke. We'll never live that type of lifestyle because we're just not that type of person. Trace back your memories to the most significant times that has occurred. And in particular, going back to the original moment when you went, I get it, we're poor people. That original moment when you were just very free and loose and did not really have any type of relationship with this concept of abundance and self-identity. And yet there was a moment of clarification of your identity through this messaging you're receiving from your parents. And you went, okay, I get it, we're poor people. That moment, if you can reshape that memory such that it takes on a form where your very first impression of abundance in relation to self-identity was, we're rich people, we can have whatever we want. If you can do that, then this is going to be a very potent way to change your beliefs, which changes your energetic signature, which changes your manifested reality. So, there is education within the Earth human field regarding this. This is not information which is not already available within your society. So, the point of saying that is, this already has a name. Memory flipping, changing your memories. You can literally change your memory. And the reason that we have given this background context, that the memory you are changing to already pre-exists and is occurring right now, is so that you can release this sense of doubt, this sense that you are being dishonest, this sense that you are fooling yourself, the sense that you're lying to yourself. I'm going to lie to myself about what actually occurred because it didn't really occur. And that if you continue to hang on to that rigidity, then it's going to make this very difficult. In fact, it'll make it unlikely to be accomplished. So instead, let go of that rigidity and understand there is nothing incongruent. There is nothing dishonest. There is nothing which is a denial of reality, to instead decide that your memory of that experience is the one where you were raised in a family that was fully abundant. So, you want to literally take the old memory out and put the new memory in. And we won't go into the sort of intricate detail of that and how that can be accomplished, because this education is available in your Earth Human field already. But let us just say that this is not something that you do once. You don't just one time decide to flip the memory and have the memory which is the one you prefer, which will initiate this cascade which culminates in a different manifested reality. This is something which needs to be done over and over and over and over and over. And in particular, at a moment when you are feeling the old memory is coming up, if you're feeling like you're looking at something and thinking, oh, I'm too poor for that, that would be an ideal time to go through this exercise. And you would begin by putting yourself in a state of gratitude and abundance. Because if you come at it from this stimulated sensation of lack, you're thinking, I would love to, you walk past a nice car in the street and you go, I would love to have that car, but I can't afford it. If you try and flip the memory from this starting point, it's the energetics are counter to what you wish to accomplish. So instead, take a moment to cleanse yourself of this sense of lack. And the way that can be done is by filling yourself with gratitude. And picking gratitude for anything. Gratitude for being alive, gratitude for breathing the air, gratitude for having eyes that can see, for lungs that can breathe, for having people in your life that you love, whatever it is, make yourself feel a sense of gratitude. And then when you have that sense of gratitude, go back to this early memory, which you have already become aware of, is the sort of the originating seed of belief. And from a place of gratitude, transfer that gratitude into the memory of coming from a family which was fully abundant and generous in the way that it distributed the abundance to its family members, including you. And just go, I am so appreciative. Thank you, Mother and Father, for being so wealthy, for sharing with me the abundance so that I could have whatever I wanted. And now that is my lived experience. That is my belief system. And if this is done over and over and over and over hundreds of times, we understand it sounds arduous, but this will literally begin to change the neural pathways in your brain. And you will literally become a different person. And who is it that you will become? You will become that version of yourself that has arisen from that permutation of the experiences of your past. You will literally transform into that version of you, which is available in the infinite versions of you, which are all pre-existing. You are literally shifting, you could say, into an alternate timeline. You are shifting into the timeline where that version of you is. And you become that version. You become him. You become her. And that version of you has a completely different belief system to the one you possess now. And as a result, they have a very different energetic signature. And as a further result, they live a very different manifested reality. Their lived experience. Their life metaphor. is one in which you are in much greater possession of the things that you desire. You have literally reshaped your reality at the quantum level, including your actual brain. This is how powerful you are, and this is how malleable your reality is. So, if you wish to live a very different life experience, then we now have given you a very basic toolkit for how this can be accomplished. So, before we finish, let us just revisit the main points. First is, accept this understanding that your reality is highly malleable, even your memories. Because they're not memories, but just different versions of the reality than the one that you recall experiencing. 2, identify the memories which you feel are at the root of the lived experience you are having now, which is not what you want. And then swap out or flip that memory such that the memory now is a memory which is conducive to the beliefs which would manifest the reality you desire. And do this over and over and over and over. And it can be applied in any way that you want, this model. It can be applied in regard to your health. It can be applied in regard to your relationships. It can be applied in regard to your accomplishment, whether it be at work or in your studies. It can be applied in any way that you wish, because your reality is highly, highly, highly malleable. Eventually, what will occur within the Earth human field is that you will literally be able to manifest things into your reality instantaneously, just with this understanding and the power of your intellect and your control over the quantum field. So, for example, if you wish to have a ball, you will literally be able to manifest a ball into your hand from what appears to be nothingness. But really what has happened is there is a version of reality where that ball was already in your hand. And all that you did, because remembering, all permutations pre-exist. And so all that you did was reshape the quantum level so that you transitioned into that version of your lived experience. You literally reshaped reality in a very purposeful and deliberate way. That capacity exists now. However, when humanity transitions into the fourth density, this will be even easier to accomplish, because there will be less lag between cause and effect. There will be a compression of time. And so manifestation will be much more instantaneous if you desire it to be. But of course, this is a version of the matrix, a density which is reserved for beings that have already made the realization that they are the light and nothing but the light. And so this instantaneous manifestation is much more likely to give rise to scenarios of reality which are in alignment with the one, in alignment with one's own well-being. Because if that state were to exist now, in humanity's confusion and neuroses and misconception of self, individuals would be instantaneously manifesting horrors into their life. And that is why at this density, this instantaneous manifestation isn't part of the experience. So, when you are reshaping your reality at the quantum level while you are still a third density being, there is going to be some lag. It is not going to occur instantly. Although in some moments it will, but mostly it will not. So, being cognizant of that abstraction of this density state that you're in now, continue to persevere with your very deliberate reshaping of the quantum field into something which is conducive to what you desire. And if you stick with it, because you realize it takes time in this density, then you will, bit by bit, using this methodology, as well as applying yourself in the real world, to completely transform who you are and the life that you live. This is entirely possible for you. And there are many existing now, and from the historical perspective on your planet, that have mastered this. And so can you. Thank you. We hope this excites you. And this would be a very useful tool to add to your toolkit at this particular time in the Earth Human's journey. Because, as we said at the beginning of this channeling, there are some challenging times ahead. And you can very effectively inoculate yourself from these challenges if you begin purposefully reshaping your reality at the quantum level, using this methodology that we have just given to you. Thank you, and we love you.